Yo, YouTube. This week on financial therapy, I want to talk about the belief of I'm not good enough, where it's created. You just paint me your hands, paint me your nose. I don't have to be fearful of money anymore. And some people say I look like David Beckham. Like having your hands like this, you can't see half the freaking world. So, the belief of I'm not good enough, and where was it created? It was created when we were young, when we were really young, as little kids. So, when we were born, we had our parents there, and we had to believe our parents were God. We had to idolize them because they were the ones who were going to look after us, they were going to feed us, they were going to do everything for us to help us survive. So our little survival mechanisms, as when we were a little child, our survival mechanism held on to that belief that, oh, my mum is amazing, my dad's amazing, they're God. And when we do that, and there's situations or circumstances in our life that it might be our mum or dad who are the most lovingest parents, but either sometimes when they don't give us the love that we're expecting or the attention that we want, when we don't get that, we blame it on ourselves. Oh, it's my fault, I didn't get the love, I didn't get the attention. Oh, it's my fault, I didn't get a toy, I didn't get the food I wanted. We start blaming ourselves. And when we start blaming ourselves, we start thinking that, oh, it's me, I'm not good enough. My parents don't love me. I'm not good enough. My parents don't give me the attention. And so when we start doing that, and this is even with the most lovingest parents, so even if you've got parents that might be absent, suffering mental health issues, or even just aren't there, then this belief is created even more powerfully. And we start to really think that I'm not good enough. It was all my fault why my parent wasn't there, or my mum never showed me love, never said she loved me, or my dad wasn't there, he never said he loved me. But the issue is, once we start doing that, when in later life we start going around our lives, and especially if we look at this from a financial perspective, oh, I'm not good enough to get that job, I'm not good enough to earn that much money, I can only earn this much money. And when we have that belief going on in our perspective, when opportunities come along, like a good job or money, we push it away because we believe we're not good enough. And it's been fascinating for me in my life, because that's what I've seen happen. As when I was in jobs, I could basically only stay there, even if it was good jobs, I could stay there for 2 years, and I would sabotage, I'd have to get out because I would feel I wasn't good enough to be there. And so we have that created when we're younger, we're not good enough, but we keep this idealization, or the idea that our parents are gods. And what happens with that is, as well, is because at the little age of 2, 3, 4, up 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, whatever it was, because there was certain times we didn't get what we wanted, we didn't get the love we wanted, we didn't get the toys we wanted, we didn't get the affection we wanted. The trauma of that event stays in our body, and there's little parts of us, in us, that are wanting stuff from our parents, but when we don't release that and it stays in our body, that stays with us through our development, through teenage years and into our 20s and into our 30s. And if you think about that, we've got these small little parts of us stuck in us wanting stuff from our parents, that we're actually going around as 30, 40-year-olds still wanting love, affection, attention from our parents that we never got when we were little kids. And I saw that for myself, because my mum died when I was 15, and I assumed, or I didn't have the wisdom at that point. I thought because she died, I cried, I thought I'd let go of her. But there was something in the summer, I was on a loving relationship retreat where I did this painting workshop with another partner. And at the beginning, me and her, we did this sexy dance to get a lot of playfulness and fun going. And then what we did, we sat down. She had an A3 bit of paper, which she had in front of me. I had an A3 bit of paper, and we had 10 minutes where we just painted. And we could paint whatever we wanted to paint. It was cool. We just paint me your hands, paint me your nose, and just go and paint everything. And once we finished that, we had to swap over. So I painted on her bit of paper and she painted on mine. And when the music started again, I started painting. I painted a tree, I painted a snail, and I painted this smiley face and just little animals. And I didn't think of anything of it at the time. And then we had to swap over. We had to give criticism to each other's painting, what they painted on ours, and then give positive feedback to what they did. It wasn't until the end I was like, oh, something weird was going on there. And I worked it out when we were analysing it. It was like, oh. Because basically my picture, what I did, it was like a 40-year-old's picture on top of hers. And the guy who was running the workshop was like, yeah, your energy changed when you started drawing and painting on her photo, on her picture. I was like, oh yeah. This wanting energy came up. It was like, I wanted her to like me and love me. From this 4-year-old perspective, I wanted my mum to like me and love me. And that showed me everything. I'm like, oh God, I'm still holding on to my mum. I'm still holding on to her loads. And from that point until Christmas time, it was something I was working on, to just try and let go of my mum energetically. And when I say letting go, it's not letting go of like, I'm never gonna think about her again. I don't want anything to do with her. It's like letting go of the wanting her for her to love me, or the wanting her to give me affection. Because it's an icky, it's hard to explain, an icky, I want something. It's letting go of that energy. And because when you do, and I have now, it's like, oh, she loved me all along. I didn't need to want anything from her. I know she wanted me. She just had her own issues going on. And I've just got so much more compassion for her, which is lovely. And by letting go of all this wanting energy from her as well, looking at this from a financial perspective, that my mum was so fearful of money. But because I was holding on to this wanting energy of her, like I want her to love me and like me, so I would have to be fearful of money, which I have been. I'd have to be fearful of money as well. Because if I'm fearful of money, then she's going to like me and love me. So for me, just letting go of that and letting go of all this wanting energy with her has made me be like, oh, I don't have to be fearful of money anymore, which is amazing, which is really cool. And yeah, I suppose I share how this happened. And it was at a Joe Dispenza retreat I was at in Mexico in December. And it was a 7-week-long event. 7 week, that's a lie. 7-day event. And we did this pineal gland activation, which was like a 4.5-hour meditation at 4 in the morning. And basically, there was this kaleidoscope. So we looked into this kaleidoscope. We did the breath first, actually. We did this breath, so pulling all the energy out of your survival centers, your first 3 survival centers, and pulling basically your energy up into your heart, into your throat, and into your brain, and letting the energy move up your body to get out of survival into creation. That's the idea. So we did that for maybe 10 minutes or so, and then he's got this kaleidoscope. So you're looking into this kaleidoscope and he's projecting images into it, where it's like your pineal gland is blowing open, or your heart is blowing open. So we do that for half an hour, and then you'd lay down. And when I laid down, it was like this door opened up next to me. I had my eyes closed, this door opened up next to me, and like people started walking over my body. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Don't know what's going on here, but I suppose afterwards I've been like, this is like lucid dreaming. And then after that, we then got up again and we did the kaleidoscope again. And when we did the kaleidoscope again, projected images into it. And then we laid down. And this time it was just me getting up out of my body. And it was like, oh, this is really cool. And I went into something and we got up again and did the kaleidoscope and projected images into it. But this time it was like, I just saw this big archway with all my toys there from when I was younger. And I was like, Mum, are you there? Are you there? And then with this white silhouette of her body, she just rose up, and love from her heart just went into my heart. And it was like, oh, I could really feel it. It was really cool. And then it went from my heart into her heart. And it just was like, that's what I needed to release that wanting energy from her, because it made me like, she loved me all along. I know that deep down. There was just so much stuff going on for her, and that was how I healed that. And I've noticed it as well with my dad. Like my dad growing up, He always had different businesses, and I saw that he was always, I don't know, there was always something going on with money, and I suppose I took from him that, cool, I've got to be fixated on money, and if I'm fixated on money, my dad's going to love me, he's going to like me, and because I wanted him to like me, love me, because he wasn't there until I was 8 or 9. But there was lots of other complications going on with that, with my mum resenting him because she wasn't perceiving that he was giving him her money, and I don't know, there was just lots of probably negative connotations around my dad from probably my family and my mum. So I, again, learned, I suppose, if my mum resents my dad, I've got to resent my dad because I'm going to get love from my mum. A lot of confusion going on there, eh? But growing up, I slowly, more and more, just started resenting my dad and resenting money as well. But if I'm resenting money because I'm resenting my dad, I'm keeping money away from me. It's a struggle, it's hard. And I think, as I've explained before, what it used to be like was when my dad would ring, I'd be like, I don't want to speak to you. After about 3 months, I'd answer the phone and it would be like, okay, I'll speak with you. So I'll speak with you and I'd be like, oh God, how many I believe you're doing my head in. And after about an hour and a half, he would eventually go. And I'd be like, oh God, thanks for that. I didn't speak with him for ages. Which is quite sad, really. But after doing this inner child meditation on myself, which basically, cut a long story short, I've explained it before, I've done this green poo, and all this resentment towards my dad came out in this green poo, that I just felt so completely different towards my dad. I didn't feel the resentment and anger towards him anymore. I could speak with him on the phone and be like, oh, hello, Dad. Yeah, cool, have a laugh and a joke with him. It was really nice to have a different relationship with him. It's not like I'm amazingly close to him. He was never really there. We were never really that close. But letting go of that resentment towards him, but also towards the relationship he had with money and I had with money related to him, has meant I didn't resent money anymore. It's like, oh, cool. Money isn't connected to my dad anymore. Money's just this energy that is me, and the energy that I'm putting out onto it is coming from me. So that's really explaining how I myself have let go of my parents. And it's not letting go of them, piss off, don't like you anymore. It's like letting go of the energy from childhood. Then it's like, oh, I can properly love you then and have compassion for you and be like, shit, if whatever happened in my childhood, it's like, oh God, what happened to you in your childhood? But I've had to release my holding on to the trauma of childhood to see that, properly see that. So that is my experience of letting go of parents and this idealization that they're God. And when we let go of that, oh yeah, we're lighter and we can actually bring more wealth and money into our lives, depending on what they are with money and how they act with it. And so the second part of that is the belief of I'm not good enough. So the second part of this is the belief of I'm not good enough. And I suppose how I've looked at it, or how I've seen it recently, is that because when we're not good enough, it's basically like there's fragments of us broken up. And these fragments of us that are broken up are lost parts of us as in our childhood from like trauma. And it could be that, oh, my mum didn't give me an ice cream. It could be that I got smacked. It could have been that my dad wasn't there. It could have been when my mum died. But each lost part of those fragments, because it was too scary to deal with that at the time, or we didn't have the tools to deal with that at the time. They get locked away in our body and as emotions and get locked in our head, in our subconscious. And with these parts of us fragmented and broken up, so it becomes like we're fucked up. It's like, oh, I'm fucked up. I'm not whole. I'm broken. And with that comes fear, because a lot of the trauma that happened in our childhood and teenage years and in our 20s and 30s that we've compounded because we've got this belief of I'm not good enough. It creates this fear and this lack, and the lack is, if you think about lack as well, it's like, well, if I'm broken, I'm lacking these parts of myself because they're all scattered around. And so as I've found with myself that when I've been going in and doing inner child healing on different processes, that I'm finding these lost fragments of myself, and that I'm bringing them home. I'm looking at them and being like, oh, little George, I'm sorry. I see what you made up believe about yourself, and you didn't feel what you needed to feel that time. And I feel it as the adult, but I feel those feelings and emotions of the little child. And I see the belief and I'm like, oh, I made it up, that was a load of nonsense. I bring that home into me and into my heart. Each time I find those little parts of me, it's like, it's making me more and more complete, more and more whole, actually more and more perfect to what I always was. And as I do that, it's like, I don't know, we call it vibration. My vibration is getting higher and higher. And I'm getting out of fear and more into creation. Because fear is survival. We're scared. I'm in lack. I need to force. I need to hustle. I need to do everything I can. I might have to steal because I'm not good enough. I'm broken. I need to just do whatever I can to survive. But once we start finding these little parts of ourselves and bringing them home, we start to feel more safe. We start to feel more secure. We start creating, and we start to become more whole. And when we come in that place, we start to be more joyful and happy. And it's actually, we start to be more abundant, because now I am good enough to do a YouTube channel, for example. I am good enough to be in that job where I can earn more money. I am good enough to start my own company up. I'm good enough to actually start living my dreams and following them. Where before, when I wasn't good enough, I'm not good enough to do that, and it would be shut off. I had so many cool ideas to create something, but I'm not good enough to do that, so there we go. And now I'm like, I'm good enough to create a YouTube channel. I'm good enough to create anything I want to, and I'm seeing that now. Cool, I've got to keep finding little parts to myself and bringing them home and healing the lost fragments. And as I do, the more I get whole, life's just a lot lighter and a lot more fun and more playful, and it's more abundant. There's more time, there's more money, there's more love, there's more joy, there's more connection, there's more people around. I'm like, I'm not lonely anymore. I realised that everyone's my friend, rather than before it was like, it's only my friend, I hate everyone else. Now it's like, I can love everyone. Everyone's my friend, this is fun. And yeah, it's going from when we're fucked up, when we're broken and not good enough, when we're in lack, to be like, I'm whole, I'm perfect as I am, I'm in abundance. And it's so, wicked place to be, and it's cool, it's a fun place to be. Right then, so if you're wondering, how can you tell if I've got the belief of I'm not good enough going on? And this is something that, this is just lots of different examples in my life that showed up. One is pushing compliments away. And I've got an amazing story about this. Was when I was at uni, I used to have a Mohican. And some people would say I look like David Beckham. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, who knows. But this one girl, we were in the bar, and this one girl came up to me. And she gave me a compliment, amazing compliment, like, God, you look like David Beckham, something like that. And I was so not good enough inside. I was like, fuck off, you whore. And I was like, even at the time, I was like, where the fuck did that come from? It just came from nowhere. And I felt so guilty, I felt so shameful, and she just went off. And that's something I've held on to for ages. Like, but that proved to me how much I had not good enough going on inside. So that's one thing. Batting away compliments and not being able to soak them in and be like, thank you for the compliment, that was lovely. There's another one of sabotaging, like sabotaging relationships. I've sabotaged relationships. Someone lovely comes into your life and wants to give you all this love and attention, and you do everything possible to sabotage that, push them away and make sure it all goes terribly wrong. I've done that. So pushing away money and wealth. If money comes to you, opportunities come to you, we bat them away, and we don't actually see them because we're so closed off to it. Our awareness is so closed off. It's like having your hands like this, you can't see half the freaking world. But once we start becoming aware, and we're like, look at all these opportunities that were trying to come to me, it starts to change everything. Also as well, there's like our addictive patterns. Like for me, my addiction, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I would drink at the weekends to hide all the shit that was going on. Go to festivals, do drugs, addicted to money, just making money, buying flats to just hide this insecurity. I'm not good enough underneath, because if I've got more flats, I'm good enough. If I've got more money, I'm good enough. But It's not fixing the issues inside that I've got these lost fragments of me that are hidden and scared, and they needed to come home and think that, and so they feel whole, and so I feel whole. So yeah, just ask yourself that. Have I been doing that? Have I been messing up relationships? Am I addicted to watching TV constantly to hide what's going actually on inside? Do I find it hard to hold on to money? Am I just holding on to money? And if we're doing that, it's like, I'm not good enough, I need to hold on to this. So yeah, if anyone has got any questions about their belief of I'm not good enough and how this can play a part in their life, maybe put some questions in at the bottom of the video and we can have a discussion and talk about it. So thank you, YouTubers. This was all about the belief of I'm not good enough and how that is created from our parents. Have an amazing day, week, month, year, and send you lots of love. Bye-bye.